Furius Baco at PortAventura is one of the weirdest coasters out there. It's the only traditional wing coaster Intamin has ever built. You also have one of the fastest hydraulic launches in the world, yet most family coasters are taller than this ride. And you also have a downright bizarre theme of a monkey wreaking havoc on a wine vineyard. Do all these elements make Furius Baco good? Find out in this review. This coaster opened in 2007. It was the first major coaster added to PortAventura in a decade. After such a long coaster gap, this Spanish park knew they needed to add something bold, and they most certainly did with Furius Baco. For one, it opened as the fastest coaster in Europe. Using a hydraulic launch, this coaster launches riders from 0 to 84 miles per hour or 135 kilometers per hour. While it has been passed, including by Red Force next door Ferrari Land, Furius Baco is still the third fastest coaster in Europe. 2. This was a prototype. Wing coasters seat riders on the side of the track. This orientation had previously been used in the fourth dimension coasters from both Aero and SNS. On those rides, the seats could rotate at specific points. On Furius Baco, the seats would not rotate and instead remain static. Being a first of its kind, this coaster had some issues in its early years. Along with the usual short breakdowns the accelerator coaster model is known for, Baco had some more extensive problems. In late 2007, the ride had support issues, most notably on the final turn over the water. The ride was closed for periods for reinforcements. In 2012, the ride suffered a broken launch cable, and a train returned to the station with a broken over-the-shoulder restraint. And we're not talking about just the padding falling off. One of the shoulder straps sheared off, metal and all. I believe the ride also wore through wheels faster than expected. This has been an issue for a lot of new Intamins that push the envelope. But I haven't heard of Furius Baco having any notable issues over the past few years. In fact, it has not had a single mechanical issue in any of my visits to PortAventura, not even a short breakdown. The only issue that still plagues this coaster is the roughness. All wing coasters are prone to bouncing, and it gets worse the further you are from the center. You see this even on the B&M wing coasters that are reasonably smooth. Furius Baco is quite shaky. The trains vibrate profusely throughout the layout. You can get some downright nasty jackhammering on the outside seats. Intamin has not used this train design for any future coasters, and I wonder if the roughness is a contributing factor. For all its warts, no one has ever called this ride ugly. The ride looks beautiful. It has sky blue track that looks stunning on a bright sunny day. Then I also love this ride's placement. It is in the Mediterranean section towards the front of the park. Much of this coaster is hidden from view, making it somewhat of a mystery, but the final turn is placed over the lagoon directly in front of the entry plaza. It gets you amped for your day seeing a train rocket by so fast. This placement is both a blessing and a curse. Because it's the closest ride to the main entrance, it gets mobbed the second the park opens. Do not be surprised if the line hits the 1 to 1.5 hour mark. Unless you are one of the first people into the park, it is prudent to return to this attraction later in the day. On a quiet day, it should be a near walk-on by the afternoon. On a busy day, you may still find a decent wait midday. This is still one of the park's most popular rides after all, but the wait should be much shorter than it was in the morning. The only possible wrinkle with this plan is if there's rain in the forecast. Like Intamin's other hydraulic launch coasters, Furius Baco cannot operate in the rain. If you're visiting on a day with precipitation, you need to prioritize this coaster when it's operational. Before you enter the queue, you will see a bank of paid lockers to the right. Do not make the same mistake we did. We thought they were mandatory for all loose articles, much like the lockers found at Cedar Fair parks. Furius Baco offers free cubbies on the load platform. This ride's queue line is able to hold a ton of people. I am scared to know how long the wait would be with a full queue. You have switchbacks both inside and outside. The queue does look nice at least. The outdoor section passes through the vineyard, and you have these weird figures with buckets on their head. These represent test dummies. The ride's story is that a scientist has created a new machine to harvest grapes, hence why the trains feature barrels on them. However, the machine is flawed and the test dummies scattered throughout the queue represent those who fell off. The indoor section passes by some mechanical equipment supporting this magical machine. Each of Furius Baco's trains hold 24 guests. You have 6 rows. Each row seats 4 guests, 2 on each side of the track. And unlike the other wing coasters where you have separate queues for each side, you load on the left side here and exit on the right side. To cross to the other side, you just climb over the vehicle. You don't do that on other wing coasters. In all my visits, this coaster has run 2 trains, and the staff can check the restraints reasonably quickly, which minimizes stacking. The park owns 3 trains, but I haven't heard of them running all 3 at once. I'm not sure if the ride can, and even if it could, I doubt there would be much benefit considering how short the ride is, combined with the lack of a separate unload platform. Riders are restrained by over-the-shoulder harnesses. It is an identical design to what you find in Kingda Ka. You have a thick cylinder that rests above your thighs, and then hard straps that go past your ears. A lot of Intamins with this restraint design have been retrofit with soft straps, but Furius Baco hasn't gotten this upgrade. I hope it happens someday. Then your feet are left dangling because of the open seating design of the wing trains. As for which seat you want, there are 2 considerations: row and side. As I mentioned earlier, Baco is far from smooth. For a far smoother ride experience, you want to sit on an inside seat. This is imperative. It is still bumpy, but it's much worse than the outside seats. It thankfully won't translate to too much headbanging, but you may come off with a bit of a headache from all the vibrations. The shakiness is the biggest flaw with this coaster. Then, like many launch coasters, especially the Intamin accelerator coasters, I think the front row is easily the best seat. You not only feel the full force of the launch and relentless speed, but you also get the best visuals and the smoothest overall ride. However, you may struggle to get that seat unless you pay. This ride is assigned seating. The operators usually take row requests for open rows, but they usually will not let you wait an extra train for a row that's already occupied, and that's a bummer because the front does have enough space to support an extra queue. To get the front, you need to be one of the first 4 people admitted into the station, and hope it wasn't already taken by someone with the Express Pass. People who purchase the Gold Tier Express Pass are allowed 1 front row ride per day on Furius Baco. This is the only way to guarantee a front row on this coaster. Same with Shambhala and Dragon Con. Once dispatched, you roll into a little show scene. I believe a door is supposed to close behind you, but that has not worked in any of my visits. That means the launch is on full display for those in the station. A monkey animatronic appears from the left. This was unfortunately broken in my most recent visit in 2022, but I saw it in all its glory in 2017. A professor then appears on the screen in front of you. He's fixing the grape collecting machine, but the monkey pulls a lever, sending him flying. He lands in these giant cogs off to the side, and his body is pulled through each one. It's a simple but satisfying practical effect. The machine then explodes, filling the screen with wine. The music intensifies and the train moves backwards. Somehow the professor survived being crushed by the cogs, and he jumps into the vat of wine. Then a second or 2 later, you launch forwards. This is a forceful launch. I already mentioned the ride's impressive top speed, and you reach that in just 3.5 seconds. While the initial yank is very good, it's not quite as jarring as some of the other hydraulic launch coasters out there. Still, it has a far stronger kick than most magnetic launches, and the speed by the end of it tries to rip your face off. That's especially impressive when you consider just how heavy these trains are. Another interesting aspect about the launch is the track's incline. All of the hydraulic launch coasters have slight inclines to help with rollbacks, but Baco's train has a very noticeable incline. So the launch system not only needs to overcome the weight of the trains, but gravity as well. Most launch coasters go into their biggest element first. The accelerator coasters in particular usually go into a top hat. Furius Baco does something way different. At the end of the launch, I believe you're at the ride's highest point of 46 feet or 14 meters. You then dip down into a trench. It is a weird maneuver, and it ultimately feels like a souped up B&M speed hill. You get some very strong and sustained floater airtime here. It is incredible getting airtime like that while zipping along at speeds in excess of 80 miles per hour. The rest of the first half takes place in a trench. The ride hugs the ground, so it never loses any speed, and you have a ton of foot choppers. You have rock walls and shrubbery on both sides, enhancing the already substantial velocity. This setting is why the ride is near impossible to photograph off-ride, but it certainly makes the on-ride experience better. That's particularly true at night when there's very little light back there. You get blasted with very strong positives at the base of the dip, and then you careen through a long turn. The positive Gs are not maintained through the turn. All the intensity comes from the relentless speed. On the inside seats, you'll get some shaking, but if you're on the outside seats, you will get some nasty jolts. It reminds me of the bad bumps you can get in El Toro in a wheel seat, especially when you consider how fast this ride is going. This is followed by an S-bend through a tunnel. As with the prior turn, no notable forces here, just more speed and shaking. You then have this elongated S-hill over the launch track. I expected this hill to have some crazy laterals, especially with the wing seating. But it's surprisingly sterile. It doesn't offer any forces. Again, it just maintains the blistering speed from before. Furius Baco then charges through the lone inversion, a very drawn out inline twist. You get some spectacular hang time here. You are suspended upside down for a few seconds with those harnesses capturing all of your weight. It is unique getting that much hang time while traveling so fast. Most hang time moments occur when the train slows down. That doesn't happen on Baco. And you also get a neat head chopper at the ground. Not many inversions manage to pull that off. You then dip down to the water, and if you're in back, you'll get some weak floater airtime here. You then zoom around one last turn. Like those in the first half, it's not too heavy on the forces. You'll just feel the wind pushing against your face, and your feet look like they'll skim across the water. You then rise up into the brake run, but there's one last surprise. There's a monkey animatronic hanging from above who greets you. No sign of the professor though, so maybe he drowned in all that wine. You then return to the station, ending the 2,789 foot or 850 meter long coaster. That is quite a bit of track for an accelerator coaster, to be honest. And on your way off the attraction, you are routed through a gift shop that sells wine. A fitting conclusion for this ride given its theme. So what would I rate Furius Baco? I would give this coaster a 7 out of 10. This ride is flawed, there is no denying that. It is far from smooth, especially on those outside seats. And there are only 3 standout moments: the launch, the hump, and the inline twist. But this ride is a speed demon. The decision to stay low to the ground is odd for a ride like this, but it leads to unreal speed start to finish. You never slow down. Not many coasters have an average speed greater than Baco. This ride is an absolute adrenaline rush. If it were perfectly smooth, it would have a shot as the second best coaster at this park. But as it stands, it is an intense and fun coaster, just not one that's easy to marathon. So those are my thoughts on Furius Baco, the unique accelerator coaster at PortAventura. What are your thoughts on this launched wing coaster? Do you like this ride? Or do you find it too rough? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.